Shri Padmatmani Namaham. Namaste devotees and Jai Sita Ram. I want to first and foremost apologize for the late start this morning. I was having some technical difficulties while getting the microphones and the camera set up. But with that being said, devotees, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang this beautiful September 5th, 2021. Before we commence with our puja for today, devotees, I ask that you all join together with me as we begin this service by singing this very beautiful bhajan as we go ahead and get our minds ready before we perform our prayers. Swagat sambhajan is mandir bhakti ki swati ki dhara हर सुमधुर गान हमारो रंजन सब नर नार ईश सगुण निर्गुण विनाशी मात पिता रुयार ईश सगुण निर्गुण विनाशी मात पिता भाई हम वास्त सुनाई और भाई हम वास्त सुनाई तार हमें संसार स्वागत सब जन इस मंदिर भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान रंजन सब नर नार तीर्थ भाया मोद लगाए पुण्य यहाँ पर सार तीर्थ भाया मोद लगाए पुण्य यहाँ पर सार संगति संतन नीम चलावे संगति संतन नीम चला शोभन सब व्यवहार स्वागत सब जन इस मंदिर भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमारो रंजन सब नर नार रंजन सब नर नार रंजन सब नर नार. As we commence with our prayers for today, devotees, I ask that you all join together with me as you go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. With your hands clasped and your eyes closed, take some time to focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus, one that helps you concentrate. Go ahead and relax your shoulders, your spine, your neck. Make sure you're sitting in a very relaxed and comfortable position. And join together with me, devotees, as we chant the Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam Yatkinchan Jagatyam Jagat Dena Tyaktinam Bhunjetam Agrudha Kasya Svidhanam Om Sahana Vavatam Sahano Bhunakam Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Hariom Shanti 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 Hari Om. At this time, devotees, as we all join together as we chant the most powerful Gayatri Mantra. Om Anachiradi Akshari Brahmavadini Gayatri Jagat Matar Vishwayoni Namostute Om Bhuri Bhuvaswa Tatsavitur Bharenyam Bhargone Vasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat Om Bhuri Bhuvaswa Tatsavitur Bharenyam Bhargone Vasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat Om Bhuri Bhuvaswa तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। हरि ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम प्रेम से बोलो गायत्री माता की जय। As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we offer prayers and obediences to that remover and destroyer of all obstacles in our life and in this universe. We join together as we offer prayers to Lord King. Om Shri Ganganapati Namaha. Om Yajananam Bhuta Dhanadhi Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palacharam Aksharam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakarakam Namami Vignesh Varapada Pankajam Om Vakratum Namahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabham Nirviganam Kurumi Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Raksha Raksha Ganadhaksha Rakshatre Rukya Rakshakan Bhaktanam Bhayam Karta Tratha Bhava Bhavaranavar Om Shriman Mahaganadi Pataye Namah. As we continue to worship Lord Ganesh today, devotees, I want you to keep in mind and recognize that this Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will be celebrating our Ganesh Chaturthi Puja. For those of you who won't be able to join us, there is a song and a specific prayer that you can recite on that day if you so choose to. If you can't join us for puja, if you cannot do puja, I ask at this time, before we continue on with our puja, that you join together with me as we sing this beautiful bhajan dedicated to Lord Ganesh, the remover and destroyer of all obstacles in our life. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahane, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahane, Ladvan ko bhoga lage santa kare seva, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Ekadandaya Antachara Bhujamhari, Mate ki sundur sohe, Musa ki swari, Duyo ke dukarat, Paramananda Deva, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva. अंधन को आंख देते घोड़ियन को खाया, बंझन की पुत्र देते निर्धन को माया, भव से पर करो नाथ भजन करो तेरा, जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा, माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा. जो तेरे ध्यान करो ज्ञान मिले उसको, छोड़ दुनिया और माल जाऊँ मैं किसको, हे देव कृपा करो कष्टा हरो मेरा, जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा, माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा, लडवन को भोग लगे संत करे सेवा, जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा, माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा, जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा, माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा, माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा, माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा. ओम श्री गणपते नमो नमः. प्रेम से बोलो गणेश भगवान की जय. As we continue on with our prayers today, devotees, I ask that we join together and as we offer prayers and obediences to that universal mother and that destroyer of all evils in our life. As we join together and offer prayers to Adi Shakti Durga. Om Mahadurgai Namaha. Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadra Kali Kapalini Durgakshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swadha Namostute Om Devi Chamunde Jai Bhutarde Niharadini Jai Sarvagati Devi Kalaratri Namostute Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vishnumayeti Shamnita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddhi-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddha-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Pushti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah. As we pray to Mother Durga devotees, we say, O Durga Mata, thou art the universal mother, and we, your children, worship you in your many forms. O Ma, we see was buddhi, wisdom, Lakshmi, prosperity, Shakti, energy, Shraddha, faith, Shanti, peace, Tushti, contentment, and Daya, compassion. And as we pray to you, O Ma, Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. As we pray to you, O Ma, we bow to thee again and again. Devotees, we now offer prayers to Mother Durga in the form of the Universal Mother. Matri Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matri Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah. Dehi Sambhagyam Arogyam Dehi Me Paramam Sukham Rupam Dehi Jayam Dehi Yeshu Dehi Vishu Jahi. Shakti Durga Mata Ki Jai. As we continue on with our prayers, we offer obediences to that sustainer of all things dharmic, all things righteous in this universe. We join together as we offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Shri Vishnu Namaha. Om Shantakaram Bhujashayana Bhadamanabham Surisham Vishwadharam Gagan Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhadam. Om Lakshmi Kantam Kamananayanam Yogi Bhira Dhyana Gamyam Vanni Vishnu Bhavamaya Haram Sarvaloki Ganatam. Om Sashankha Chakram Sakirita Kundhalam Sapita Vasram Sarasiplekshanam Sahara Vakshasthana Shobhikostu Bhashriyam Namami Vishnu Shirasa Chaturabhujam Namami Vishnu Shirasa Chaturabhujam. Om Prem Se Bolo Vishnu Bhagwane Ki Jai. And finally, devotees, we join together as we offer prayers to that universal Father and that universal Guru. As we offer prayers that destroy all evils in our life and in the universe, we join together as we pray to Lord Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Harapura Avataram Samsara Saram Bhujagendrahar Saram Santam Hirdayardavinde Bhavam Bhuvani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhuvani Sahitam Namami Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Namah Shivaya Devotees, we offer this next prayer for all those suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that they may have a fast, speedy, and full recovery. We also offer a prayer for those transitioning from this world to the next. May their passage be as smooth and tranquil. Om Trayambakam Yajame Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiv Mandanatam Mrityurmukshyo Mamrutat Om Trayambakam Yajame Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiv Mandanatam Mrityurmukshyo Mamrutat Om Trayambakam Yajame Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiv Mandanatam Mrityurmukshyo Mamrutat Om Ganganapate Namaha Om Kartikeya Namaha Om Nandishwaraya Namaha Om Vasukiye Namaha Om Shri Sambhasanhaya Shivaya Namaha Prem se bolo Shiva Shankar Bhagwan ki jai. Devotees, before we commence even further into our Sunday morning satsang, I'd once again like to thank Uncle Walter, Auntie Sarani, and Gita for sending in some bhajans for us to listen to live during our Sunday morning satsang. Again, Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani recorded something, they sent that in, and then Gita Samal recorded something and sent that in as well. So we'll go ahead and take some time to listen to these very beautiful bhajans, and then we'll continue on with our sermon.
Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh. Jai Ganapati, Jai Gananayak, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh. Jai Ganapati, Jai Gananayak, Jai Ganapati Vandana Gananayak, Jai Ganapati Vandana Gananayak. Teri chabi ati sundar sukhdayat, Jai Ganapati Vandana Gananayak. Tu char bhujadhari mastak sinduri rupa nirala, hai mushak vahan tero, tu hi jagkarak wala. Teri sundar मूरख मन में, तेरी सुंदर मूरख मन में. दुपालक सिद्धिनियायक, जय गणपति वंदन गणनायक. मन मंदिर का अंधियारा, तेरे नाम से हो उजियारा. तेरे नाम की ज्योति गली तो मन में बहती सुख धारा, तेरो सुमिरन हर पूजन में, तेरो सुमिरन हर पूजन में। सबसे पहला ये फलदायक, जय गणपति वंदन गणनायक। तेरे नाम को जिसमें ध्याया, उस पद रहती सुख छाया। मेरे रोम रोम अंतर में एक तेरा रूप समाया। तेरी महिमा तू ही जावे, तेरी महिमा तू ही जावे। शिव पार्वती के बालक, जय गणपति वंदन गणनायक। जय गणपति जय गणनायक, जय गणपति जय गणनायक। जय गणपति जय गणनायक, जय गणपति जय गणनायक। जय गणपति जय गणनायक, जय गणपति जय गणनायक।
Hare
Once again, devotees, I'd like to thank Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani, as well as Gita Samal, for recording those beautiful bhajans and sending them in for us to listen to during our Sunday morning satsang. Devotees, before we commence with our sermon for today, I ask that you join together with me as we have a guru, as we offer a prayer to our guru. If not, then I ask that you take any day in your mind that you wish to worship as your universal guru, as you join together with me and pray. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Om Dhyana Moolam Guru Murti Puja Moolam Guru Param Mantra Moolam Guru Vakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa Prem Se Guru Deo Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Devotees, last week we were in chapter 18 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in which we ended on verse 45 and 46. Of which Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Sve Sve Karamanyam Hiratha Samsedhi Brahmati Hara Swam Karamanyiratam Siddhim Yata Vinnati Tachtranu Yata Bhutanam Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam Swakarmanatam Abhyarcha Siddhi Munnati Manava Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam. You'll have to forgive me, devotees, because I said last week, and when I said last week, I actually meant that 2 weeks ago, because last week we were doing our Shri Krishna Janmashtami Puja. But in verses 45 and 46, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, by following the qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. So when we talked about qualities of work, we talked about the roles we have in life. The roles we have in life, whether we're a Brahmin, a Kshatri, a Sudra, it just depends on what our role is in life. It's not a social status, it's not a hierarchy. It just says, based off how we're born in this world, we have to do things a certain way. There's specific duties we have to perform. So by following the qualities of work, every man can become perfect. By following your qualities. He says in verse 46, by worship of Bhagwan, by worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beginnings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. Those last 3 words are very important, devotees. Actually, 4 words, I'm sorry, because I can't count. Performing, and I'll say there, performing their own work. Performing their own work. Think about that for a second. Performing their own work. Bhagwan Shri Krishna is about to explain to us how somebody can attain a perfection. And in order to attain perfection, they perform their own work. So what does that mean specifically? What do those 4 words mean? He goes on further to tell Arjuna in verses 47, 48, and 49 in chapter 18 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shreyan Swadharam Vibhuna Paradharma Swamditat Swam Bhavaniyatam Dharma Purvanapnu Kirvisam Sahajam Karma Kaunteya Sadhu Samapinatyache Saravaram Bahinu Sena Bhumen Agnir Ivarita Asakta Buddhi Saratra Chitatma Vegata Spraha Naiskarmya Siddhi Madhma Sanyasina Dhinachati Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagwan Shri Krishna 47, 48, and 49 says, performing his own work. He says, it is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of faults. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain peace. All material enjoyments can attain, by practice for renunciation, the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. It's a bunch of words. What is Bhagwan Shri Krishna saying here? So the first verse, 47, engage in your own occupation, even if it's imperfect, than to do somebody else's occupation perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. I was having a chat with a friend. His name is Dylan. He lives on the West Coast. And he was telling me about a church group that he goes to on Wednesdays. And I was like, okay, cool. And then we got talking about religion. I was telling him about this verse. He goes, you know what that verse made me think of? There's a phrase that is it's kind of more of a Louisiana phrase. It's mind your business. Mind your business. Now, what does that phrase mean? Yeah, it means in some ways it's a little rude to say mind your business. But the phrase derived essentially from somebody trying to tell somebody else how to do something that they're proficient at, or their own job. It's not up to us to tell people how to do their job unless you're that person's boss. And that's pretty much what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying here. You need to perform your own duty. Even if you can't do it perfectly, you need to perform your own duty. Nobody in this world is perfection. God is perfection. We're human. We're filled with fault. We have fault. So we must perform our own duties even if there's fault to it. However, don't go and try to do somebody else's occupation and do it perfectly. if you don't have the expertise, don't go try to force your opinion in to tell somebody how they need to do something. Because guess what? At the end of the day, it's not your duty, it's their duty. Even if it bugs you, even if you don't like the way somebody does something, if you're not proficient in it, and if it's not your duty in life, you shouldn't need to tell them how to do it. That's what Bhagwan Sri Krishna is saying here. That's why I always think the phrase mind your business kind of makes sense here in some sense. So perform your duties, even if it's not perfect. But don't go try to do something for somebody else, because by performing your own duties, you are free from sinful reactions. He says, and further in verse 48, every endeavor is covered by some fault. So everything we do has some fault to it. Everything in our own lives, every duty we perform has some fault to it. One should not give up the work born of his nature, even if work is full of fault. Even as work is full of fault. What is a great example of saying that every endeavor is covered by some fault? It is my job as a house owner, as a homeowner, and my wife's job. Me and my wife are responsible for maintaining this house, making sure that it looks good inside and out. So yesterday we decided to do yard work. We did yard work. We pulled out a bunch of mulch from areas we didn't need it. We chopped off a bunch of weeds. We hedged, we edged, we weed whacked, we mowed, we emptied dirt, put it into the backyard way past beyond the fence. And we did all of that to maintain our house, because that's our duty. Was there some fault in that? Was there some sin that we occurred by doing that yard work? Of course there was. I can't account for every little bug, animal, and creature that's in the grass as I'm mowing. Did I kill something yesterday? Of course I did. Of course I did. Did I do it knowingly? Absolutely not. If I see a grasshopper, I'm going to shoo it away before I mow that area. That's what I do. But if there was a grasshopper already in the grass, there's no way I could have seen that. I hit it with a lawnmower. It probably lost its life at that point. So for me, by performing the duty, I know that my duty needs to be performed. That is the role I have to fulfill as a homeowner. But as me being a homeowner, I incurred some fault in that. There was some sin in that because I took some innocent lives yesterday. I know, if you're hopping in at this very point of virtual satsang, you gotta rewind a little bit and listen. But when we do something in our own lives, we have to understand that there is going to be some fault. Why is that, devotees? Who out there is perfect? Who out there is perfect? We can all say at some point in time that, oh yeah, that person's perfect. They're the absolute best. They're not perfect. I saw another post online the other day that says, this is the face of depression. And what was it? It was a photo of a bunch of people like Robin Williams and Chris Farley. They were just smiling. They were so happy. They were so happy. But everything that we do in our lives has some sort of repercussion. You don't know what's going on in somebody's head. Nobody is perfect, no matter how perfect they seem on the outside. On the inside, there could be turmoil. No matter what we do in life, it's never going to be perfect. There's going to be some fault, and we have to accept that. We have to own that. We have to be okay with that. So, perform your duties, even if there's some fault. Don't go try to be perfect at somebody else's duties, and just know that there is going to be fault in everything you do. However, one should not give up the work born of their nature, because even if such work is full of fault, you're still voided from sin, because you're performing your duty. One who is self-controlled and unattached, he says, who disregards all material enjoyments, can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. So, if you understand that you perform your own duty and there's fault to your own duty, if you remain controlled and unattached, you will achieve the perfect stage of freedom from reaction. We try to aim for perfection all the time. For me, even this morning, I tried to aim for perfection. I tried to start at 10 o'clock on the dot. But there were forces around me that were preventing me from doing that. There was faults in the things that I was doing this morning, and therefore we started 8 minutes, I counted it, 8 minutes late. However, even though I was rushing to get things done, I also understood that this sermon was coming up, and that there was some fault in the things that I was doing. How I had the camera set up, how I had the microphone set up, how audio was working, because the audio sounded like somebody was crackling plastic in front of the microphone. So I had to fix all that. But there was fault in it, but I remained as controlled as possible. I tried to keep my reactions calm and controlled, because I knew at the end of the day, even though there was some fault in what I was doing, it was my duty to do it and still get that information out to everybody. So everything that you do, devotees, has some fault in it, but you've got to be okay with that fault. You've got to be willing to accept the risk. You've got to be willing to accept the negative actions that come from the positive things that you perform, because I guarantee you something negative will come out of it. It doesn't matter how well you do a puja. It doesn't matter how well you play your instrument. It doesn't matter how well you've given that speech. There's always going to be some sort of criticism. There may be some fault because somebody interpreted it or takes it in the incorrect manner, and you've got to be okay with that. You do not lose your control or your senses over it. That is what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying. It's so powerful. Verses 47, 48, 49. And when you really break it down, when you really take time to understand it. But Bhagwan Shri Krishna is not done. He wants us to know a little bit more about what he's talking about here. Remember, it's the last chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He's got so much knowledge that he wants to drop down on us. I mean, we could even go back and recover chapter 18 and all learn something new. In verse 50, he goes on further to tell Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Siddhim Prabhuyatam Brahma, Tattapnuti Nibodhame, Samasena Vakamneya, Nishtachana Sayapara, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. In verse 50, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, O son of Kunti, learn from me now how one who has achieved this perfection can attain the supreme perfectional stage, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. How can you achieve the stage of highest knowledge, he says. In verses 51, 52, and 53, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says the way to attain that stage of perfectional high knowledge. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Buddha Visudhaya Yoga, Dhrityatmanam Niyamyacha, Sabdadin Visayam Styakva, Ramadvesa Bhasyacha, Vivikase Vilambhasi, Yata Vakaya Mahasa, Jnana Yoga Paro Nityam, Vairagyam Samupasrita, Ahankaram Balam Darapam, Ahankaram Balam Darapam, Kama Krodham Parigraham, Vimucha Niramam Santo, Brahma Muyaya Ganapati, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Even just now, devotees, as I'm performing my own actions, I made a mistake and I decided, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me having made that mistake. All I have to do is go back and correct it. I said in verse 53, Aham Karma, and it was Aham Karam. So again, I made a mistake. I'm performing my duty. There was fault in the duty performed. I went back and corrected it, knowing that at the end of the day, I'm still performing my duty. But beyond that, in verses 50 through 53, again, he says there's a stage that we can achieve of it's one who has achieved this perfection can attain the supreme perfectional stage. It's the highest stage of knowledge, the stage of highest knowledge. He says in verse 51, how must one be to achieve this stage of highest knowledge? Being purified by intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship, and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. That's a mouthful. There's so much there to analyze and digest and understand. Someone whose intelligence and controls the mind with determination. Control the mind with determination. For those of you who play video games, there's a game out there called Undertale. And Undertale is the story of a little human who's trying to get through like this monster world. And there's 3 routes you can take. There's a route of pacifism, a route of neutrality, and a route of, I think it's like chaos. So the chaos route is you go around, you kill all the monsters. The neutral route is you kill some monsters, you leave some to survive. And the pacifist route is you don't kill any monsters at all. But as you go through this game, when you get to the save points, it says that you're filled with determination. And what happens when you hit the save points and you get filled with determination? Your life points go from the lowest that they can, if they're low, to completely filled. Because you are determined. Your determination is what pushes you forward. It's funny because I was playing that game, so I just had that in my mind. But filled, controlled with determination. It's a person who gives up the objects of sense gratification. So no matter what, you're not getting gratification necessarily from the things that you do because you know it's what you need to do. All of us still have that in our lives. We all still have some sort of gratification by the things we do. I feel good knowing that this looks perfect, and I feel miserable knowing that it's off sometimes. So in that sense, I'm still trying to please my senses. So I'm not there yet. I'm not at that sense of highest intelligence. Highest knowledge, I'm sorry. Being freed from attachment and hatred. We hate a lot of things still. I hate Baigan. I'm getting more used to it as I learn more about the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Can't say that I love it. I'll use the word hate. So I still hate things, you know? I'm still at fault here. I'm using me as an example. One who lives in a secluded place. Now, we tend to give introverts a bad name because they go to seclusion. Because they don't want to talk. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone who wants to be secluded, somebody who doesn't want to talk. An introvert is just a person who acquires their energy from pulling out energy within, not getting it from their external surroundings. So because somebody's in a secluded place, because they're not socializing, doesn't mean that they're a bad person, because here in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying that's somebody who is of the highest intelligence. Now, I'm not saying go seclude yourself, but I'm saying if you need to control your senses, go into seclusion. It'll help you out. Who eats very little, and who controls the body, the mind, and the power of speech. A lot of us eat too much. We all eat that. If you all were to come to Mandir today, and my mother cooked a big container of bara and a big pot of cook-up, a big container of bara, as much as you can eat, and all you can eat bara and cook-up buffet. I'm using my mom's food as an example because I love my mom's food. How many of us would control ourselves and say, I'm only going to have a tiny bit? I guarantee you, a majority of us would not do that. We would fill our plates to the top with bara and cook up and stuff ourselves and then just sit there or maybe go take a nap in the mandir. So someone who's of the highest intelligence can look at all that stuff and say, you know what? I'm going to control my body and my mind. I'm not going to say I'm going to eat as much as possible, put a bunch of pepper sauce on it, and then let my mouth fly loose and start insulting people based off politics and religion. I'm not going to be that person. It's someone who's always entranced and who is detached, who's free from false ego, meaning they don't feel like they're the greatest person in the world. They feel like they're a person in this world whose duty is just to do their duty and make the world a better place, who has false strength, who has false pride, who does not have lust, anger, and acceptance of material things. It's somebody who's free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is generally elevated to the position of self-realization. I hear people say all the time, oh, that person's a Brahmin, they must be a good person. I honestly think that's not what makes a good person. I don't think the duty that you perform in life makes you a good person. I think it's how you perform that duty, how you talk to other people, how you act in society is what makes you a good person. I don't care if you're a Brahmin, a Kshatriya. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I don't care if you're black or white. I don't care if you're young or old. If you're performing your duty in this world, if you are not judging others, if you have all of these components, you are the person in this world who is truly knowledgeable. You are perfection. But at this point in time, devotees, at this point in time, I can easily say that every single person listening to this sermon, myself included, my wife included, my family included, none of us are perfect. Because how do we know we're perfect? Because we understand that perfection comes from being imperfect. It comes from us not worrying about every little detail of life. It comes from us not having to stress of whether or not the countertop is spotless or it has one crumb on it. It's up to us to understand that we perform our duties. There's some fault to those duties, and we've got to be accepting of every single thing that happens while remaining detached, while remaining knowledgeable, while being peaceful, while not having hatred in our mind, our bodies, and our souls. I love quoting Avatar: The Last Airbender a lot. I love quoting Avatar: The Last Airbender. There is that one scene where Aang is trying to unlock all of his chakras so that he can attain what's called the Avatar state. The Avatar state means that he's able to channel all the past avatars and control all of the elements, earth, water, fire, and air, at the best of his abilities, or at the best of, like, he gets all the knowledge from all those people and he controls them. He's like a superhuman. But in order for him to do that, what does he have to do? What does Guru Patik tell him he has to do? I love Guru Patik. Guru Patik is the symbolism of what a perfect, knowledgeable person is. If you don't know who Guru Patik is, and if you don't know what Avatar: The Last Airbender is, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's like season 2 or season 3 where you meet Guru Patik, this really skinny, old Indian bald man with a big beard who lives at an air temple with nobody else other than a few animals, and eats onion and cabbage juice and watermelon juice and all this other stuff. But he says in order for us to maintain perfection, to control ourselves, to be able to pull out the best potential from us, in order to unlock our chakras, we have to detach. We have to release. We have to be okay with everything. Let go of the hatred of your heart. I'm going to find that one day. I'm going to list out every single chakra point and list out what he talked about. Because in summary, devotees, what he says is those verses from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I deter. We end on verses 54 and 55. As we end, Bhagavan Shri Krishna wants Arjuna to know a little bit more about intelligence and how we attain that supreme Brahman, knowing that information that he just imparted. He goes on to tell Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Brahma Buddha Prasannatma, Na Sochate Na Hamsadi, Sama Sarvesu Bhuttesu, Mada Bhakti Labhati Param, Bhaktya Abhijanati Vyavanyaschasmi Tattvatam Tato Mam Tattvato Jnatva Vissatetar Anantaram Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam. One who, thus transcendently situated at once, realizes Supreme Brahman and has become fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He's equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. A person who never laments or desires for anything. No matter what they do, they never lament, they never desire, they never want more, and they never regret what they've done. A person who's equally disposed towards every living entity. Every living entity. Discrimination and racism, elitism amongst the human race, Sanatana Dharma followers included, exists. It's there. We see it every day, all the time. Republicans and Democrats, blacks, whites, browns, yellows, greens, blues, purples, races, religions, ages, until you can truly see everybody as an equal. Until you can truly stop down playing. That's not the right word. Until you can truly stop essentially just being rude to people. To downplaying their role in life. To downplaying their beliefs. Until you can equally see everybody. Equally, of course. You will not attain pure devotional service. You will not attain Brahma. You will not attain salvation. In verse 55, Bhagwan Shri Krishna ends by saying, one can understand me as I am, the supreme personality of Godhead, only by performing this one thing. And that one thing, devotees, is something we'll talk about next Sunday during our regular Sunday morning satsang. Prem se Bolo Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai. At this time, devotees, as we conclude with our puja for today, I ask that you join together with me as you go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. Go ahead and take a deep breath in, relax, and balance your mind and your body. Relax your spine, your shoulders, your neck, your forehead. Try to remain in total balance. With your mind cleared of all thoughts, go ahead and focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you. A form of Bhagwan that helps you focus, and join together with me, devotees, as we chant our closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkham Bhavet. Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktihinam Janardanam Nitya Pujitam Maya Deva Paripurnam Karastu Me. Papuham Papu Karamaham Papu Atma Papu Sambuha Trahi Mam Pudarikaksham Sarva Papu Haro Hari. Om Tvameva Matascha Pitha Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Devane. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritam Yamaya. Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gurura Brahma Gurura Vishnu Gurura Deo Maheshwara Gurura Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Yav Shantir Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shantir Apa Shanti Oshadaya Shantir Vanaspati Shanti Vishwadeva Shantir Brahma Shanti Sarve Om Shantir Shantir Shanti Sama Shanti Re Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Prem se Bolo Ganesh Bhagwan ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Adi Shakti Durga Mata ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Shiva Shankar Bhagwan ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Shiva Shakti Mandir ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Sanatana Dharma ki Jai. Devotees, with this we have come to the end of our Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us today. As I had mentioned earlier on during our service, and let me pull up my calendar so I'm making sure I'm telling you all the right date and the right time. This month in September, we have one other event that we are going to be celebrating as a Mandir. We're going to be doing it virtually, of course, and that is known as Shri Ganesh Chaturthi. That is going to be on Friday, September 10th. Again, on Friday, September 10th, we will be performing our Shri Ganesh Chaturthi Puja, and that'll be held at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on our Mandir YouTube page. Shiv Shakti Mandir GA is the name of the YouTube channel. So we'll be live doing that. Again, I did sing a song and said a few prayers at the very beginning of Puja. If you are not able to attend, you're more than welcome to listen to that. But also, of course, that Puja will be recorded and it will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you need to watch it at a later time, you're more than welcome to do so. But that, again, is Friday, September 10th at 7 p.m. The other event that is happening this month that we should all be aware of is known as Pitru Paksh. That begins on Tuesday, September 21st, and ends on Tuesday, October 5th. So again, Tuesday, September 21st, ending Tuesday, October 5th is the period of Pitru Paksh. And right after that, devotees, we follow into our period of Navaratri. Navaratri starts on Wednesday, October 6th, and ends Thursday, October 14th. So again, Wednesday, October 6th through Thursday, October 14th is Sharad Navaratri. It essentially means kind of fall time Navaratri. And that again is in October. So those are the events that we have. Those are the dates we have coming up. For those of you who want to perform your puja for Lord Ganesha on Friday, make sure that you have plenty of red flowers. If you want to offer clothing, a red dhoti is going to be very appropriate to offer. Make sure you make some prasad, some mahambog, a few sweets, and if you can manage to get your hands on it, some laddu. Laddu is very good to offer for Lord Ganesha during Ganesh Chaturthi. Fruits, mahambog, flowers. If you have chandan, we'll be performing chandan. So essentially a lot of water, we'll bathe. We'll offer some clothing. We'll perform some chandan. We'll offer some flowers. We'll offer some incense. We'll perform arti using a diya. We'll offer a prasad. And if that's what all you need at home, if that's what you can get your hands on, that'd be perfect. Don't worry about all the other 16 steps. We'll take care of that here. You offer what you can. Because remember, in order for us to be able to do something successfully, we have to do it to the best of our abilities. To be perfect is to understand and realize that we won't be perfect every single time. Beyond that, devotees, we have some birthdays that we want to celebrate for the month of September. Not the month of September, for this past week at least. So to Uncle Jai Sugrim, very happy birthday to you. To Shivani, very happy birthday to you. The young little Darshan, happy birthday to you. To Auntie Zandra, happy birthday to you. And J. Sita Ram, I know you're in the chat right now. And to Tim Dabbit, I say Tim Dabbit, to Tim Sangar or my Tim Dabbit, very, very happy birthday to you. Today is actually Tim's birthday. So if you want to do something kind for someone, you can text Tim Dabbit and wish him a very happy, give him a call, FaceTime him. It's Sunday. We all have Labor Day off. So happy birthday to you, Tim Dabbit. To all of you, again, very happy birthday. And the last thing I wanted to say before we end our virtual Sunday morning satsang is that I started late. I apologize for that. I was having some technical difficulties, but it was through reading the sermon today that I realized that everything that I may do in this world is going to have some fault. Everything that we do in this world is going to have some fault to it, devotees. I want you to know and I want you to understand that every single one of you is perfect. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let yourself feel any other way. You are perfect. Even if things are going wrong, even if the world seems dark, even if you're messing up consistently, you are still perfect. Perfection is not something that we should stress ourselves about during our entire lives, because we are already perfect by being who we are, by performing the duties that we do, and by living the life that we live. Before I end for today, devotees, I want you to know that you are perfect. Jai Sita Ram.